Good afternoon. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Munchkin.
Our guest today is a player and a air mile specialist and an AP in a lot of different areas who goes by the name of Wilma0. So Wilma0, welcome to Gambling with an Edge.
Thank you.
I'm going to take a wild guess and assume that your mother did not name you Wilma0.
That is correct.
So how did you get that name?
Well, when the online poker was going on, I figured that people would take my play less seriously if they thought I was a lady and maybe if they thought I was an old lady. So I chose the name Wilma because that sounded kind of like an old lady name. And
Flintstone.
Yeah, exactly. So
Matilda would have done.
Yep.
Wait, I don't want to get letters from any Tillys out there. I'm sorry.
So I did that and made a little bit of money. I was just playing for fun, not for any big stakes. Probably if I were playing for bigger stakes, I would have been a losing player regardless. So that's how that name came to be.
Did you find that you thought people tried to bluff you more?
I'm not sure. I didn't really analyze the situations that closely.
Mm.
All right. So how old were you when you first got into gambling? Or APing? You can answer either way.
I didn't really know what APing was, but I did know sort of good deals when I found them, and that was probably when I was like 11 or 12, somewhere around there. And two of the things that I can remember are during the Olympics, McDonald's had a promotion where if the U.S. won a gold medal in a particular event, you would get a Big Mac. And if they won a silver, you'd get fries. And if a bronze, then you'd get a Coke. So, and these scratch-off things were for each of the different events. So if you got like a track sprint event, well, shoot, you got a free meal because the U.S. would sweep everything. You'd get the Big Mac fries and the Coke. Of course, if you got handball, then you just throw away that ticket. So anyway, I would bicycle to McDonald's toward the end of the Olympics because they would let you cash in the tickets up to like a week after the Olympics. So toward the end of the Olympics, I would go there and say, hey, can I have a bunch of the tickets? The Olympics are almost over. You don't need these. And so they'd let me take a whole stack of tickets. So I ended up doing that and a Big Mac fries and Coke for 11, 12-year-old. That's huge. So that's what I did. Then McDonald's changed for the next Olympics. They changed their policy where you could only get the best prize. So instead of getting, like if the U.S. swept a track event, you could only get, for example, the Big Mac instead of Big Mac fries and Coke. And then eventually McDonald's, the Olympics after, they figured out that people are going to come to McDonald's regardless. We don't need to do this promotion at all. So
you weren't really backed off from it. So you didn't get your first AP back off when you were 12 years old.
Well, when I tried to take the whole stack of tickets, they said, hey, wait a minute. And so it was like a partial back off. They only let me take like half of the stack of tickets.
Yeah. Moderation. Was there another?
Yeah, I was sort of backed off from putt-putt golf. We lived overseas in a Middle Eastern country because my dad took an interesting job. We were all over there. And somehow my brother and I discovered that the tokens at our putt-putt golf, they had the golf section and then also like a pinball video game type section also. The tokens that were used for the pinball and video games happened to be the exact same size as 25 halala coins. Now, a 25 halala coin was the exchange rate was worth about 8 cents. So instead of having to put in a quarter US for 25 cents, my brother and I discovered that we could put in these 25 halala coins. So that was only 8 cents. We didn't think there was anything wrong with that because we could play our Atari at home for free. So they were still getting, a little bit of money. But then during our next vacation, they had changed the size and shape of their tokens, so we could only do that
you didn't
once.
Get your hands cut off.
Well, yeah. Well, this was back in the U.S. Putt-putt was in the U.S. They didn't have that over in the Middle East.
Oh, I see. You imported the coins.
Right.
Is that currency smuggling?
International smuggling to the
Well,
list.
we didn't have over $10,000. We probably didn't have over $20 worth.
I would think that it had to be a quick play because every night they empty the hopper. And they're going to see all this.
Well, we were only back in the States on vacation for like a week or so. So it was fairly quick. We did it all in about a week. And then the next time when we had all these 25 halala coins, they didn't work. So we felt cheated.
Yeah, I can see how that really would, you could feel like it ripped you off.
Yeah.
All right. So Blackjack. How'd you get interested in blackjack?
Well, I think I was on a cruise ship, and one of the people who I'd met through bridge happened to be in the casino, and they showed me a card that they had printed off themselves and said, there's a strategy here that if you play, you'll not lose very much. And so you can play a lot, have a lot of, entertainment. And so show me that card. So he showed it to me and so I said, well, okay. So then I used this special system special system where after I lost a bet, I would double my money. And then if I lost again, I'd double it again.
I think
and
you're
eventually,
the first person who ever thought of that system.
Yeah.
This is the Wilma Martindale.
That's right. The Wilma0 Martingale system. And so that it usually worked.
Yeah.
But when it didn't, then I felt really bad.
Yeah, I bet that's true.
So then eventually I found the Holy Rollers that documentary video. And so I watched that and I was like, shoot, if these guys can do that, I can do this. So then I tried getting hold of like as many books as I could, but I didn't know who the good authors were and who the bad authors were. So I just read everything and didn't really know the good from the bad. But eventually I was able to figure out which authors were more valuable than other authors.
You didn't start Googling around to...
I wasn't that smart.
Was Google around when you were doing this? I don't know how old.
Well, if Holy Rollers was out, then yes.
Yeah, Google was around. No, I think what happened was another one of my friends said, hey, there's this website called Wizard of Odds. And so I checked that out, and after digging through there was something about like some good books, reference books. So then I looked through those.
So when did you actually start counting cards and go out and start trying to make money at this?
Well, I started counting cards probably about 8 to 10 years ago, somewhere in that time frame. And I wasn't really trying to make money doing it because I had 2 jobs, really. I had my normal civilian job, and I'm also in the military as a reservist. So I had sort of like 1.5 jobs already. So I didn't need the money, and I didn't want to put my money really at risk. I was just doing it to see if I could do it, but I liked getting the comps. I liked, the idea of, places flying me on some, charter plane and putting me up for free and free food, stuff like that. So, so that's what I did at first. And I guess if I had to do it over again, I probably wouldn't use my name. I wouldn't get the comps, but because now I'm playing at much higher stakes, it's a lot harder to get away with the money.
Yeah, it seems like every AP, when you ask them about lessons learned, number one seems to be, I wouldn't have used my name, but for some reason, people just do not want to get that idea into their heads when they're starting out.
Yeah, and probably even if some expert had told me, don't use your name, I would have probably been stubborn and said, well, I read Comp City. I'm going to get all the comps that I possibly can. And so I probably wouldn't have listened to the experts anyway.
Well, and the thing that's really sad about that is, as you say, you're playing at a much, much higher level now.
Yes.
So that if your name was clean, now there are comps you could be getting that are worth
huge comps,
super cash value.
Yes.
So, yeah, but
yeah,
lesson learned.
Yeah. And so hopefully for the listeners out there who haven't yet used their name, don't use your name.
As a someone who considers himself as an AP but also a video poker player, where you basically have to give your name if you're playing for stakes where you get W2Gs, we have to bite that bullet early. So Richard's comment is every AP does this kind of great, because I consider myself an AP and yet I had to do that. And plus, in video poker, the value there's value in giving up your name, but
yeah, and that's one thing I definitely agree with that. Like now, what I do is I play video poker for the comps, because when I try to play blackjack, I can't give my name because I've been backed off at many, many places and threatened with, like, if you come back and play blackjack, we're going to trespass you. So I play video poker to get the comps, but then I'll play blackjack at places that will still tolerate my action, either with my own name, like in foreign countries or cruise ships or some casinos that haven't caught on yet, or I'll play as a refusal or somebody else's name, a different name.
So you were able to play video poker in those places, and the blackjack has not come back to give you a problem? They'll let you play video poker without any issues?
No, good question. I play video poker in totally different places than I've played blackjack.
Oh, you've never played blackjack in those places?
Correct.
You're just going there to play video poker and get your room comp and those kind of things.
Right.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, but
same city, but different places.
Sure.
Right. And but it works. You can sort of leverage that, because, like, if I play video poker, say at a Caesars property, and get to the diamond level or diamond plus, something like that, or at before COVID, for 2 years I was 7-star. So somehow casino junket companies would find out. And so I'd get, like, cold calls, or, like, once I did something with them, then it wasn't a cold call anymore, but they would send me email or call me and say, hey, we see you're a gambler. Would you like to go to, such and such place and get your room free and, $400 worth of food and $500 worth of free play, and hopefully you'll have a good time and, play some more, stuff like that.
Yeah, on that note, those guys who call you and do that are middlemen. So you might try the next time that happens, if it's a place you're interested in going, calling that place directly, asking for a host, and saying, hey, I'm thinking about coming and, putting up X amount, whatever the first company you told, I'm going to put up X amount, I'll play this many hours, what can you offer me? And you may find that you will get a better deal if you call them directly than going through the middleman, because the middleman's going to get a cut of that deal.
Yeah, that's a good point. As a matter of fact, just recently, purely by coincidence, on one of these like junket things that I was invited to by a middleman, at the same resort hotel, I ran into a person who I knew from a cruise ship, and I'm not sure if he went through a different junket or went to the casino himself. I don't know how he arranged the deal, but basically he put up 4 times the front money that I did and got a way better set of comps. And I could have easily, if I'd known that was an option, I could have easily put up that additional front money and gotten better comps as well.
Now, when you were starting Blackjack, you mentioned Holy Rollers. So that turned into blackjackapprenticeship.com. Did you ever take one of their boot camps?
Sort of. I took 2 of their boot camps.
Are you a slow learner?
Maybe, but I don't think so. I took a basic boot camp, and then they also offered an advanced boot camp. So I took the basic one, and Colin and Ben were there as the instructors, and it was very valuable. It was, just if nothing else, it would confirm that, yeah, you can count cards and not be cheated when they try to give you a wrong payout or, stuff like that. You get to meet some interesting people, although, strangely, even in that sort of safe environment, a lot of people used fake names. Colin and Ben didn't, obviously, but so anyway, that made me feel more confident about my game. And then also, one of probably the most valuable part is the special guests that they have on there. So they'll ask a special guest to show up, and he'll talk to the group for maybe an hour or something like that. And when I was there, Tommy Hyland showed up. He was had lots of interesting stories, and he he's been doing this for probably as long
40 years.
I've been. Longer. Yeah, so as long as anybody. So just hearing stuff that the expert says is great. And then several years later, I came back and did the advanced boot camp, and Colin and Ben were both there as well. And it's a serious thing, but they and they treat it seriously. But then at the end, they have will you please rate us? We'll put the comments in there because, it's a marketing thing. And so Ben had his, I believe his daughter there, and she was, I think, bored most of the time. So anyway, as one of the ratings that came up, it said, I guess it's pretty good, but it's mostly boring. And it was attributed to Ben's daughter.
Who was what?
Probably somewhere in the 9 to 12 age range.
Yeah.
Not a professional blackjack player yet.
Not yet.
All right. So you do a lot with credit cards. And your approach seems to be with some overlap to Jimmy Jazz and some differences.
Yeah. So not just Jimmy Jazz, but also Cartwright. He's been on talking about the credit card stuff as well. So for people who are interested in this, listen to their past podcasts. But credit cards, I when I thought COVID was going to be going away, I started getting back into it because, during COVID, there wasn't any travel and stuff like that. So anyway, credit card companies have tons of welcome bonuses, and there are tons of credit cards out there. So you can apply for them, and as long as you do the amount of spending that they require for the welcome bonuses, you'll get these huge welcome bonuses that, depending on the type of credit card, sometimes the points are transferable to a set of airlines or set of hotels, or sometimes the credit card is specific to just one. Like if you get a Southwest credit card, it's just for Southwest. But if you get a Chase Ultimate Rewards credit card, those points can be transferred to any number of different places, airlines, hotels, stuff like that. So what I did was I got several Chase credit cards and did the spending. And I'm not smart enough to get like 5 credit cards all at once and try to figure out the spending and do all the spending within just a 3-month period of time. So I'll get one when I do the spending, or when I'm close to finishing the spending on one, then I'll apply for another and do that. So over several months, I got, several 100,000 of these transferable points. And then you have to decide how to best use the points. And there are websites out there. One that I like is called the Points Guy. And so anyway, they, besides telling where points can be transferred from which credit cards to which like airlines or hotel programs, they also say, in order to get the most value for the points that you have, you can use these sweet spots. And most of the sweet spots for airlines are when you use it for business class to go overseas. So what I did was I used my points. So normally what the credit card companies want to do is have you cash out the points at a value of like 1 cent per point. But if you transfer them to some other program, then you can get more than 1 cent a point value out of it. And I ended up transferring them to these airlines to travel business class I had basically a free cruise, Crystal Cruise from Hong Kong to Singapore that's coming up next year. Hopefully it'll still be on. Hopefully COVID won't thwart that. But anyway, so I had to somehow get to Hong Kong and get back from Singapore. So I figured I'd use these credit card points to travel business class over to Hong Kong, business class back. And so that if you were to pay cash for those tickets, that would have been like about $8,000, $8,000 to $9,000. So I ended up getting about 4 cents per point worth for transferring.
So what is it that you're doing differently than, say, Jimmy Jazz and Cartwright?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what's the differences are...
So you rave about the Southwest card? Because that's what Jimmy does.
Well, no. The Southwest card sounds great, and it probably is great, but where I live, Southwest doesn't go to my airport. So,
well, and what's best about Southwest is the companion pass. So if you're traveling alone, that doesn't help you a lot. Right.
So that's one of the things. So it's a very complicated issue because there are lots of restraints. For example, like I mentioned, Chase, and I think their ultimate rewards are great because they're transferable points. But Chase has this restriction where they won't give you a personal credit card if you have gotten 5 personal credit cards within the last 24 months. So I've been getting business credit cards because they don't count those as personal credit cards. And the business credit cards also have all these welcome bonuses. So I have a ton of business credit cards and very few personal credit cards. And since this is a business trip, because there's a casino on board the cruise ship.
Sure.
Then,
do you have any tricks for manufactured spend? Or because you're doing the cards one at a time, it's not a problem to rack up the 3,000 or 5,000 they require?
It's, you should always have the ability to do manufactured spend if you need to, but, just your everyday spending, just try to put every possible spend on your card. And like if you're going out to eat with a bunch of people, just say, oh, I was planning on using my card. You can give me cash for that. I'll pay your, that type of thing.
That works with gamblers, but I find that civilians, none of them ever have any cash.
Yeah.
So they throw like 5 credit cards into the middle.
Right. So that's a problem. But like if you happen to rent from a person who's an investor, not like if you're renting from a homeowner association, but like if you're renting from an individual, you may be able to convince them, hey, I can pay you by credit card, and then, me paying you isn't going to be a problem. It would be me paying the credit card company that they'd need to worry about it. You'd get your money, on time, no problem. So that's something. But any time that you're able to purchase something that you would have purchased anyway, then use your credit card. And if you can get that at a discount, or like one thing that came up recently was I knew that I was going to be going on a cruise, and by coincidence, this particular cruise company offered that you could buy their gift cards at a 10% discount. Or actually, they would give you a 10% bonus. So since I knew I was going to be going on that cruise anyway...
And that bonus is good in the casino too?
It is. I read through their terms and conditions, and it said it was... good for anything. It didn't exclude the casino. And then I called up and got a verbal confirmation as well, and I have that person's name. So it remains to be seen, but I was able to get a lot of points that way because I got over $40,000 worth of
credit cards.
Yeah.
I mean gift cards.
Right.
Yeah.
So then basically, you just have to be able to pay off your credit card bills. If you are not paying off your credit card bills monthly, or if you're having to pay interest on it, don't even think about doing this, because that's the interest will be way more expensive than the benefit that you'll get.
All right. We're going to take a brief break. We're going to be asking, when we get back, we're going to be asking Wilma0. May I call you Wilma for short?
Well, just call me Will for short.
I will do that. All right. So we're going to asking Will about buying traveler's checks with credit cards. South Point has more than 10,000 games returning at least 99%. This is more such games than anyone else has. In August, play $1,800 slots or video poker Monday through Thursday and pick up a free logo gift celebrating the South Point 400 stock race. Second week is a unisex pullover, and third week is a Yeti tumbler. If you earn and pick up all 4 gifts, you receive $100 in free play. Although the gifts are better than average for casino gifts, even if you value them as worth 0, earning and collecting all 4 of them is worth an additional 1.4%. On Sunday, September 26th, is the South Point 400 NASCAR Cup Race at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Tickets are half price at the casino box office if you use your points. For locals, there is a Play X and Earn Y promotion every Friday through Sunday if they have your email address. If you haven't given them your email address, you can do it online at southpointcasino.com/club, and you can be eligible for this promotion. If you do it by any Tuesday, you'll be eligible for the following weekend and each subsequent weekend during the month.
Hey guys, this is Colin from BlackjackApprenticeship.com, and if you're serious about card counting, I'd encourage you to check out the Blackjack Apprenticeship membership. It has the training tools you'll need to beat the game, like our comprehensive video course and our training suite, so you can learn each skill and virtually test yourself before ever stepping foot in a casino. It also includes the tools you'll need to succeed, like our pro betting software, casino database, results tracking software, and access to a community of like-minded Advantage players to network with in our members forum and chat room software. You can find out more at blackjackapprenticeship.com.
Videopoker.com is the best place to play lots of games. If you sign up for the gold membership, $8.95 a month or $79.95 a year, this allows you to get correction on most of the games. The game of the week is Wheel Poker Deluxe. This is a game where you pay an extra 5 coins per game, meaning triple play costs 20 coins, 5 play costs 30 coins, and 10 play cost 55, and the bonuses come on dealt trips, full houses, and quads. Slightly different for the Deuces Wild variations. If you happen to get one of these bonuses, you spin the wheel. When the wheel spins, it lands on a drawing opportunity. Sometimes it's 100 play 4 to a flush. Sometimes it's 10 play with a pair of aces. Sometimes it's triple play 4 to a royal, etc. There is no skill involved in the hole for the bonus, and the bonus is earned on the draw, meaning that if you know the strategy to the base game, you know the strategy for the Wheel Poker Deluxe version. It adds a little bit of EV with a small amount of variance. Surprisingly, the triple play version always pays a bit more than the 5 play version. For example, in 9-6 double-double bonus, whereas the base game is 98.98%, 5 play of Wheel Poker Deluxe pays 99.31%, and the triple play version pays 99.47%. All right, we're back talking to Wilma0, also known as Will. Traveler's checks. Did you ever
Do
find...
they still exist?
They don't now, but they did at one time. And when they did, I discovered that I could go to AAA and get like $10,000 worth of traveler's checks, charge them to my credit card, and then, basically turn around and deposit them in my bank and pay off the credit card. And I've gotten the credit card points. And at that time, I was using it just for domestic flights, and I had just a specific credit card, so I don't remember if it was American Airlines or Delta or something like that, but it was a specific credit card, so all the points would go to that specific airline. And so anyway, then I did that once a month because I had to pay off my credit card bill once a month, and then I discovered, gosh, I can do this more frequently. Just get the traveler's checks and then deposit them in the bank, and then the next week do the same thing. And so I was doing that, and unfortunately, my real name is quite long. And so I started getting like carpal tunnel syndrome, but I pushed through it because I valued the points. But anyway, after probably about 300,000 points, AAA said, you can't really be using this many traveler's checks, and we're not sure what's happening. But anyway, we're not going to let you buy them anymore. So I got backed off from AAA. That was the first time I got backed off from AAA. And I've gotten backed off a second time, too, but for a different thing.
The thing that was great about traveler's checks back in the 80s is you could buy $1,000 denomination traveler's checks, and but you usually had to special order them. But if you were trying to do that today, I think you'd have treasury agents at your door, pretty quickly, just for that kind of churn. But I mean, that's the thing about all this credit card stuff, is it's constantly changing. Things that worked a year ago no longer do, and if I don't know. I would worry. I mean, I saw somebody online who talked about churning $300,000 a month. And I just thought, you're going to end up with feds at your door. I mean, I just, even if I had a method for doing that, I wouldn't do it. Just because I wouldn't want the scrutiny.
Yeah, some of the stuff is... I believe there was a recent court case that said some of the stuff can be taxable, but they didn't really define very well what can be taxed, which of the benefits can be taxed. And then also some of the credit card companies are like clawing back the points. So you have to be aware of that also. So if you're purchasing something that's like equivalent to cash, if you can get away with it, then that's good, but be prepared to have either the points clawed back or have some type of tax consequence, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so worried about the taxes. I'd be worried that they're going to think you're laundering money somehow, and you get that kind of scrutiny.
Yeah, that's possible. And the government knows a lot of stuff about you that you might not think that they do, but they do. And since I'm in the military, I come under scrutiny because, having a top secret clearance, they're, investigating me periodically just to make sure that, I still deserve my top secret clearance. And
money could make people go wrong. And if you look like you might be laundering money, that could be you're suspicious of being potential spy.
Yeah.
We've never had a spy on this show, have we, Richard?
Not that we know of.
Not that you know of.
Undercover.
All right. So have they specifically asked you about that in the military?
Well, yes. One time, and actually this was during the Conor McGregor and Mayweather fight.
Uh-huh.
I set up a credit line at, I believe, Caesar's Palace, but I didn't want to bother setting up a credit line at every single casino in Las Vegas, but I knew that there were various sports books and they'd probably have different lines on the fight, stuff like that. But I just set up one at Caesar's. So anyway, I used $25,000, took out that as credit, got it at a baccarat table there because they have no problem, they didn't question anything. So I took it, didn't play any baccarat, went, looked around to various sports lines. I don't think I even placed a bet in Caesars at all, found different lines at other casinos, other sports books that were better. So I placed my bet on Mayweather, which won. But anyway, so then later during one of these investigations where they're checking into my background to make sure that everything's okay, they have these independent agents. So they set up a meeting with me at a neutral location. So in this case, we went to a library. And so we were there and they're asking me all these questions. And as Bob mentioned earlier, having any type of money issues is a big thing for the government because that's, people are motivated by money. If I had money problems, then I may choose to sell secrets to, some foreign government or something in order to solve my money problems. Okay. So they're asking me, and one of the questions came up was, we see that you took out $25,000 from Caesars, but you didn't make a single bet at Caesars. And so I just said, well, we're meeting in a library. We haven't checked out a single book. Is that suspicious? And so the person just, went on to the next question, and I continued to have a top secret clearance.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's if they bought it, that's great.
Yeah,
They bought it.
So, you can afford. You have a story about you had a crappy car and AAA, and you're telling all this story about taking out a $25,000 marker and whatever. So it sounds like, it sounds like you could have afforded a nicer car. But how did AAA in your crappy car come to be?
Okay. Well, the $25,000 marker was much, much later in my life than my crappy car. Crappy car, that was, it usually got me from point A to point B. But just in case, I bought the AAA, it's like a peace of mind thing that, like, if you break down, they'll tow you to, if you get the cheapest thing, they'll tow you up to like 5 miles. But I got the deluxe package or something, so they'd tow me up to 200 miles, something like that. So my crappy car got me from point A to almost point B, which happened to be like 195 miles away before it broke down. So I called AAA and have them tow me back home. Well, a 195-mile tow is kind of expensive, but I had the membership, so it was paid for. So AAA, they arranged for the towing, towed me, but then I got this letter basically backing me off of AAA that said, we're not going to honor your business anymore unless you get a better car. And so I eventually got a better car and so I'm no longer backed off by AAA because I complied with their request.
As a business owner, I would think that's a reasonable request, and they didn't use any strong arm tactics to back you off.
I had a friend who is rather forgetful, and he ran out of gas. Called AAA. They came and put a gallon of gas in his car. He drove around and he just left his mind, and he didn't go to a gas station, and so like 30 minutes later he runs out of gas again. He calls AAA again. Same guy comes. Same thing happens. A third time he runs out of gas, like half an hour later. Same guy comes, and the guy said, you better go to a freaking gas station, because if you call again, I am not coming.
Oh, so I'm not the only person backed off by AAA.
Yeah.
Oh, but that would be, if he was a AAA driver, you had a more...
I had the AAA company.
Yeah, a nationwide
back-off,
a corporate back-off, not just a truck driver back-off.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola. How did you intersect with Coca-Cola? What was your AP plan for that?
Well, this was probably back in the somewhere early 2000s, like maybe 2006-ish, somewhere around there. And Coca-Cola had this promotion where, like, if you look underneath any of their bottle caps, or if you get like a case of Coke, somewhere on the case or the carton, there's going to be a code. It's pretty long. It might be like 12 alphanumeric digits long. But anyway, they had a promotion where you could input these codes into their website, and you accumulate points. So like a Coke bottle cap is, worth 3 points, but a carton is worth 10 points and a case is worth 25 points, or something like that. So I was inputting these, and actually I lived in a neighborhood at that time that did recycling. So on recycling day, I would just walk around the neighborhood, and people who had thrown out their, used cartons, I would go and tear the codes off of them, and then when I got back home, enter them, and had tons and tons and tons of codes. And so I got a lot of stuff from Coca-Cola, like free books, free more Coke. They had products like earphones, stuff like that, just lots of stuff. Well, anyway, then
Useful stuff?
Yeah, the books for sure. Like I got
towards anything at Barnes and Noble, or
no, they had a. I'm not sure if it was their own bookstore, but it was a pretty large bookstore. Like I got Annie Duke's book of like Play Better Poker or
Decide
something
to Play
like
Better
that.
Poker.
Yeah. So and as well as lots of other books. So they had some useful stuff. So anyway, then Coke changed their program where instead of being able to enter in all the codes that you wanted, they limited it to a certain number of codes each week, I think. So then, don't even bother with the bottle caps, only go for the cartons and cases because those codes were worth more. Then they changed it to you could only enter 75 points worth of codes each week. I was like, come on. Before I was able to enter like 1,000 codes because I went through recycling.
1,000 12-digit alphanumeric digits.
Yeah, I got carpal tunnel syndrome from that too.
I can just see people in Costco, entering the codes off the cases in the racks.
Yeah.
But the codes must have been on the inside of the packages.
Right, on the inside. Yeah.
So they couldn't.
Yeah.
Well, unless they tore the box a little.
But Wilma was still young enough to go dumpster diving. Some of the people in Costco are
right. And
kind of old for that.
And also, like, if I found like a Coke distributor putting Cokes into a vending machine, I'd ask the guy, "Oh, you're done with these cartons, right?" He's, "Yeah. Well, I was going to just throw them away." "Good. Throw them at me." So I would take those and get those codes. So it wasn't just recycling. I, found these people also. Anyway, they eventually changed it to just 75 points a week. But I had stockpiled, oh my gosh, probably thousands of points worth of codes. So since before I was able to enter in all these codes, I just set up different accounts so that I could set up, enter in all these codes through multiple accounts. And so then I got more books and more products.
Wilma0, Wilma1, Wilma2, Wilma3 or something?
Yeah, or something. And eventually they found out, hey, this is all coming from basically the same IP address. So, so we're not going to honor any of your accounts. So I got backed off from Coca-Cola.
Probably good to learn that lesson about IP addresses and multiple accounts before going to online gambling.
Right. Yeah. So, for online gambling, then I would have lost whatever money I had in those various accounts as opposed to just not being able to get more free Cokes.
Right.
All right. So we got lots more here to cover. And any chance we can talk you into coming back next week?
Yeah, I'd be honored.
Well, we'd be grateful. So some of the shorter ones to get through this week, so we have time, is what was your best normal back off when you got a dinner comp?
Oh, okay. I was on a cruise ship and not even spreading very much. I think I was spreading from 25 to 3 spots of 75. So basically just a 1 to 9 spread.
On a shoe?
On a shoe, yeah.
Okay.
And I ended up winning several $1,000s over the course of the, the first maybe 4 days of the cruise. And then they half-shoed me, and but I was still, if the true count was good, I was still spreading and won a little bit more, not much more. And then the casino manager came over to me and said I wasn't allowed to play blackjack anymore. And so I was like, what? I can't even have a chance to win my money back, even though I hadn't really lost money. And he goes, no, you know what you're doing, and we know what you're doing. And I said, well, can I at least get like a specialty dinner? He goes, sure. So that was my best back off.
Huh.
That seems like a weird spread. Why quarter to 3 hands of 75?
Because I didn't think that would be suspicious. I didn't think that would be noticed, really. I mean, just
As
1
opposed
to 9.
To say 2 hands of 100 or 1 hand of, I guess 1 hand of 225. Yeah, that probably would look worse. But.
Yeah, so
you're trying to stay under the $100 level.
Right. So, but they
and it also
noticed
sounds
me
like
anyway.
you're really doing it for the comp. I'm assuming that your cruise was comped or something.
Yeah, the cruise was comped.
Yeah.
And so, they probably wanted to see that I would gamble on the cruise also so that I would be invited back, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So my next best one, which actually happened fairly recently, was I sat down and hadn't even really had a chance to play, not even a full shoe, because the table was full. Probably only got through, maybe half or 3/4 of the shoe. And so then I got a tap on the shoulder, and the person called me by my real name and said, "You know the drill." And I just said, "Cash out?" He said, "Yep." So he escorted me to the cage and assisted me with my cash out. So most of them are not that friendly, though.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to have to wait for another week to hear the rest of Wilma0's stories. And trust me, you want to hear some of these, especially one that happened this past weekend, which is very current. So at the end of our shows, we go into a mode called recommended. So, Richard, do you have a recommended for our listeners today?
Yeah, my recommended is I love these shows about drug cartels. Don't ask me why. So there's a number of shows on Netflix, Narcos and Narcos Mexico, which I loved. My current one is called Queen of the South, and it's about a woman who runs a drug cartel. So there are currently 4 seasons on Netflix. There is a 5th season. This show originally ran on USA Network. So there is a 5th season, but that hasn't showed up on Netflix yet. So anyway, that is what I'm currently binging. Queen of the South.
That does sound like a country western song. Just the title anyway. I don't know. My recommended actually came from Jimmy Jazz. And Jimmy actually, when he sent this, it occurs to me that several of our listeners have potential recommended that they may want to send to Richard or me to recommend out to everybody else. And so send it to the usual places and possibly we'll use it. There is no prize for doing it, and we're assuming you don't want your name mentioned on the air when you recommend, although if you do, we will say that if you do. But I'd be surprised if...
or their handle, they might,
I would be surprised if many of you wanted your names mentioned. And so the recommended from Jimmy Jazz has to do with Hugo Cellar, which is a very nice steakhouse in the basement of a shabby casino called the Four Queens. It's downtown. And Jimmy's recommended have to do with alcohol. The first is they have friendly sommeliers, wine stewards, and there's only a $25 corkage fee if you want to bring your own wine. Now, of course, it has to be not on their wine list, because for the more expensive bottles of wine, there's significantly more than a $25 markup, which is typical for nice steakhouses. But they will present it nicely and Apparently, $25 corkage fee is lower than average for nice places. The other one was the oversized martinis, which he rates as a superior martini. As a non-martini drinker, I don't know what a superior martini is, but those of you who know, well, you know. And so he recommends those two aspects of Hugo Cellar. All right. Wilma0, or excuse me, that was your old name. Will, do you have a recommended for our audience?
I do. Now that hopefully cruises are starting again, hopefully people will be able to take advantage of this. But in Philipsburg, St. Martin, which is the Dutch side of St. Martin. There's French side and Dutch side. This is on the Dutch side, and it's within walking distance from where the cruises tend to dock. There's a place called the Yoda GWAE, and this is a museum / memorabilia place set up by the guy who created Yoda.
Wow.
And
The Star Wars Yoda.
the Star Wars Yoda. And his name's Nick Malley. I think I'm getting his name right. And most of the time, he is there. If he isn't in some convention, some like sci-fi convention or something like that, he is there. So you can go in there, look at all this memorabilia and the museum stuff, and you can talk to him. And he'll answer your questions. And it's stuff...
And he might have heard these questions once or twice before.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he's heard them 1,000 times. But, I mean, he's been in the industry with, makeup, special effects, puppetry because, Yoda, and, just all sorts of stuff, doing face casts of people. And so, you just ask him, like, I see you have 5 different face casts of Michael Jackson during different stages of his life. Can you tell me about something? He said, oh, yeah, he changed, stuff like that. So he's very friendly, and it's just a great place to visit. And every time I'm in Philipsburg, I go there.
That sounds very cool. Yeah.
So the original Star Wars came out in the 70s?
76, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's rather old.
He's old.
Yeah.
But he's still there and still able to talk, and he gets excited when people are interested in his stuff.
Very good. So, Wilma0, we thank you. We're looking forward to a return visit next week. Thank you, Richard. Go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good day.